with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. On leaving the synagogue, Jesus entered the house of Simon and Andrew with James and John. Simon's mother-in-law lay sick with a fever. They immediately told him about her. He approached, grasped her hand, and held her up. Then the fever left her, and she waited on them. When it was evening, after sunset, they brought to him all who were ill or possessed by demons. The whole town was gathered at the table at the door. He cured many who were sick with various diseases, and he drove out many demons, not permitting them to speak, because they knew him. Rising very early before dawn, he left and went off to a deserted place where he prayed. Simon and those who were with him pursued him, and on finding him said, "Everyone is looking for you." He told them, "Let us go on to the nearby villages, that I may preach there also. For this purpose have I come." So he went into their synagogues, preaching and driving out demons throughout the whole of Judea or Galilee. The Gospel of the Lord. The Lord remembers his covenant forever. Forever. He remembers his covenant forever. And meanwhile, a day in the Lord's house is like 1,000 years. So when he remembers his covenant forever, which he made binding for 1,000 generations. So a day in the Lord's house is like 1,000 elsewhere. Then he makes his covenant for 1,000 generations. Do we have a sense of what we are talking about here? But you know, you and I are so zoomed into like, how many years to live here on earth? 80, 90, 100? Okay, 150. Oh boy. And here we are, face to face with divinity, divine reality of he who sees the end from the beginning and knows everything. And yet he's intimate, yet he's connected, yet he's very present at each and every situation that happens. Present from the synagogue, present to Peter's mother-in-law, present to be able to lift her, to be able to uplift her, to be able to take the fever away, present to the crowd who were possessed by demons, present to those who were ill, present to his Father. And it's actually his presence with the Father, to the Father, in union with the Father, that kept the fire burning. So no matter how crazy his day goes, no matter how busy his schedule was, no matter how, whatever that is going on, he kept his presence with the Father. No one can work for God if you do not walk with him. Adam, God was always walking in the garden with Adam and Eve. But the day they sinned, they ceased to walk with God and they were out. service, diaconia, therapeutic healing power that Jesus had from his Father to dispel demons, to bring healing, internal healing, physical healing, emotional healing, psychological healing. It's because he continually was in union with the Father. The crisis of our age is that we want to work for God, but we don't want to walk with him. We are in a hurry to be on mission for God, yet we are not in union with him. That's a crisis. Can two agree together if they are not friends, if they do not work together? Amos asked, Amos 3, chapter 3, verse 3. The heart of service, the greatest act of service is prayers. Is prayers. Being in union, in contemplation with God. Handing over ourselves completely to the one who made us. Handing ourselves in full union. And so when we're handing over ourselves to God, then we give him permission to take away our sins, take away all the dregs of our lives, all the areas of, that are all the areas where we are already in incongruence with him, where we are disconnected with him. And then the union grows. Then our life begins to bear testimony. Then holiness flows, then joy flows, then all the disentanglements go away. That is true healing. The true, beautiful way that God created Adam and Eve in purity, in everything. Then we get to that. Then we are continually transformed. Then we can hear the Lord's voice because now we are in union. Then we can hear his voice. Then we can feel with him what he feels. Then we can see with the eyes of the Father. To see who is downtrodden, to see the next motion, the next movement, to see who is poor, to see who is blind. Because if we are blind, we cannot see who is blind. If you have a log of wood on your eyes, you cannot see the speck on someone else's eyes. It is in prayer that we are transformed. Jesus gave us great example. And people sought him out because of that. They sought him out because of the freedom and the liberty. Because first he was liberated. He was not entangled. The entanglement to the self, entanglement to reputation, entanglement to the people's opinions, entanglement to how people perceive one, entanglement to power. Entanglements. He was not entangled, he was just disconnected. That is the task before us as members of God's family. The task that every now and then, every day, we seek only union with the Father through Jesus. There's no better way to seek that but in adoration. Where the Lord, the heart of the Lord is open, and our heart is also open. One heart is open to give, the other is open to receive. And it's usually done in silence. The one who sees us and knows us, the one who sees the beginning and the end in one breath. Everything is one in his eyes. And until we go closer and closer to him, we always are afraid and scared of what's going on around us. But the closer we are to him, the more the power of the demoniac who brings death, darkness, and decay, the more his power is freed. We are freed from his dominion. Because then we participate in the salvific power, the grace and the salvific mission, the transforming power, the victory of Christ over death, then we participate in that. Then we become victors and not victims. How will you have a father, and we claim to belong to the Father, and we are acting as victims in our society? Some people, we don't know, sometimes we don't admit it, but people act as victims, act as slaves, act like that, and that's why. Then when I went to the word therapeo, from the Greek word, the cure, healing is divine. If there is any form of curing, or people claim to be doing therapeutic of, what do you call it? Therapy, that does not participate in the divine. Okay, there you go. Now, so you have, sometimes people claim to have shops here and there, stores and things like that, and they claim to be offering healing, probably even psychic healings, that comes from the new age, that comes from the demon, the demoniac himself. Now, guys, so men and women should be very, very careful where you go into. If someone is there and says, he's going to do face, what do they call this thing? Face organizing, whatever. And then someone is incanting and doing some incantations and calling. Then you already know you're at the wrong place, because you are being demonized. Some, we go, to different parlors and things like that. We're talking about pregnancy, this, people talk about that, people are therapeutics come from cure, and cure is from the sacred side of Jesus Christ. It's from the open wound of Jesus Christ. That's where healing comes from. That is where blood and water flows from. That is where life flows from. That's why divine mercy flows from. That's where the sacraments of the church flow from. That is where penance, sacrifice, it's a sacrament of reconciliation flows from. That is where healing comes from. The devil can never give what he doesn't have. What he has is lies, decay, decadence, death and darkness. And when people participate in all those things, psychic powers and there are met so many. They'll go visit and they give you crystals and give you that and give you that. The ring of evil, the circle of evil and violence. And it continues to go round and round. Never can bring peace. We are not victims, we are victors through Jesus. And he started the reign of God. That reign of God continues in the life of the church, continues in the ministries and the hierarchy of the church. The victory that Jesus Christ gained over principalities and powers. We must never ever participate in evil. There's no excuse to be there, because we have the Lord with us. And anybody who has the Lord, one with God, St. Paul says, is a majority. Let us rise and pray. Dearly beloved brothers and sisters,